Friends of inmates at Minnesota's largest prison are accusing state officials of withholding information about a series of lockdowns. Jonah Kaplan tells us why several families now say officials aren't being truthful about what's happening.
It was only last month when the commissioner of the Department of Corrections blamed staffing shortages for locking everyone in their cells and keeping them there through mealtimes and other activities.
It's challenging work. And in order to deal with the shortfalls of staff, we had to force overtime, which really was challenging and created a difficult situation as it relates to retention.
Now, people with direct ties to inmates are claiming that's not the whole story. Instead, they say they're being told from inside the lockdowns are a result of drug overdoses.
My loved one has talked about seeing some individuals overdose multiple times in weeks.
As far as what we get told, the ambulance arrives and takes them to the nearest hospital.
Faribault Correctional is the biggest prison in Minnesota. 2,000 inmates living in 6 separate blocks.
When they are on lockdown, they are unable to attend any of their programming. So no school, no work, no classes like anger management or parenting, or even, ironically, AA.
We reached out to the commissioner for another interview. He wasn't available. In a statement, a spokesperson telling WCCO News, lockdowns occur for a range of security and facility management issues, including for suspected drugs. The statement also said synthetic drugs are coming in through the mail and can be very difficult to detect. Jonah Kaplan, WCCO News.